What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the vlog for the week of March 11th, 2019. I hope you're all doing very well. Anyways, in this video I'm just going to be doing a post-mortem for my game Escape the DJ Booth, which was the first game I made for my 1 game a month challenge. And so obviously I made this full game within an entire month, and it is available right now on itch.io for both Mac and PC. So go ahead and hit the link in the description below to go ahead and check out the game for yourself if you haven't done so already. But before I get too deep into the whole post-mortem, I'd just like to remind you that next week is GDC, the annual Game Developers Conference that happens in San Francisco, and I'm going to be attending it this year. So you can expect lots of cool videos on my channel talking about some of the news that's coming out of GDC this year, and then of course talking about my experience of going there, attending the conference, going to different presentations, walking around on the expo floor, and just all the awesome goodness at GDC. GDC is awesome because game developers from all around the world come together to talk video game development, and it is one of the best things ever, and I'm super excited for it this year around. So definitely hit that subscribe button so you can join me kind of on my journey of going to GDC this year and talk a little bit about my experience there. But I will save the rest of the GDC talk for next week. Right now, let's get back to my game Escape the DJ Booth. So basically this video, I'm just going to be going over some of the things that went right and some of the things that went wrong during the development of this game. This is certainly not an exhaustive list of things that went right and things that went wrong during the development of this game. There were a lot in both categories. I'm just focusing on 3 different things right now. 3 things that went right, 3 things that went wrong. And so I'm just going to kind of briefly go over each thing and show some visuals on the screen for you to get a better picture of what exactly I'm talking about. But if you would like a deeper look at some of these things, I made a written blog post on my website at turbomakesgames.com where I took a deep dive into all these different things. So definitely go check that out if you'd like some more information on some of the things that I discussed in this video. And lastly, before we get into it, I'd just like to say if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like them, please hit that like button. Also, feel free to put any comments in the comment section below if you have any questions on specific things, or just kind of have your thoughts and opinions on my game. So I'd like to start this video off on a positive note. We're going to start out with the things that went right during the development of this game. So the first thing was the story planning. Now, Escape the DJ Booth, if you could tell by the title of the game, it's an escape the room type game. So you're basically kind of trapped in a DJ booth and you need to get out. So I kind of came up with the idea. I wanted to make an escape the room type game because I thought it would be a pretty simple game that I can kind of build off of as I continue doing this 1 game a month challenge. And so I kind of came up with the general concept pretty early, but I really wanted a story to kind of move the whole thing along to, you know, to give the player a reason for them to be stuck in a DJ booth in the first place. And then the tension kind of builds and then it ends up with a little bit of a resolution at the end. And so I just think I did a good job at kind of mapping that whole story out. I wanted to get that done pretty early on. Sort of the way I did that is I actually kind of worked it backwards. So I kind of started at the end and then worked my way backwards all the way to the beginning. Just kind of getting all the story beats and puzzles and everything like that, because I did want the puzzles to kind of tie in with the story a little bit. And so the best way for me to do that was to work the story backwards, again starting at the end and then kind of working it back to the beginning. So I think that worked really well. And the next thing that went right during the development of this game was working with freelancers. So this game was the first time that I ever worked with some sort of freelancers, where I actually outsourced a little bit of the work. My background is mainly in programming, so art is, doesn't come very naturally to me. I still did make most of the art in the game, so most of the stuff that you see is mine. But there were 2 specific things that I actually outsourced to different people. The first one is sort of the outside shot of the nightclub. Basically, I just wanted sort of an establishing shot to let the player know where this game was taking place, and I think that one turned out really well in my opinion. The second one are sort of the dancers. So when you're in the DJ booth, I kind of wanted a window that looks outside to the dance floor. And so I thought that it would be a good idea to just kind of have some dancing silhouettes out there to give the impression, to make it look like there are people dancing on the dance floor. Again, those different dancing silhouette types turned out really well. I'm super happy with the result, and it really just saved me a ton of time from having to make these myself, and they're definitely much better than I would ever be able to do within 1 month, and considering that I had to make a game on top of that. So super happy with my experience of working with freelancers so far. So the next thing that went right is that I made a cinematic game. So this game certainly doesn't have any like crazy AAA over-the-top cutscenes or anything like that. I mean, I did make it by myself in 1 month after all. But this game sort of does have a couple different little cutscenes in there, and I think they turned out pretty good. The one I'm certainly most proud of is the opening cutscene. Basically, it starts out with a phone call between you and the nightclub promoter, and then at one point during this conversation, you actually enter in your DJ name, so you can literally put whatever you want in that field. And then once the phone call has ended, the screen fades to black, and then a poster for the nightclub's event fades in, and then you'll see on this that it actually shows the DJ name that you entered right on that poster. Also, as the poster's starting to fade in, you get the hip-hop club beat in the background, and this sort of kind of like hypes the player up, and I feel like it gets them excited to start playing my game. Then after that, the poster fades out, and then we start to see kind of like a panning and zoom shot of the outside of the nightclub. So again, this is just kind of more like establishing shots to let the player know where they are and everything like that. And then once that's complete, then it kind of fades into the actual DJ booth. Now, as I mentioned in my blog for this, the code for doing all these like screen fading and everything like that really didn't take that long, and I was able to pretty much reuse that code for all these different things that I'm fading in and out. So that didn't take very long, but what did take a little bit longer, what I did spend more time on, is just kind of getting the timing of everything right, getting the music to play exactly when I wanted it to. And I think that definitely paid off in the end, because I'm super proud of that opening cutscene. So anyways, those were just a few of the things that went right during the development of this game. Now we're going to get into some of the things that went wrong during the development of this game. So the first one was puzzle difficulty. I found it very, very challenging to kind of gauge the difficulty of these puzzles. Basically, what I wanted to happen is you'd kind of have the easiest puzzles at the beginning, to the point where they pretty much weren't even puzzles. They were just kind of teaching the player how to use the basic game mechanics and figure out the basic interactions of the game. And then as you progress through the story, the puzzles would get a little bit more complex and challenging and kind of make the player think a little bit more. And so I kind of designed at the beginning, like, all right, so these are going to be sort of the easier puzzles, and these are going to be more the more difficult ones. But as I was actually making the game, it turned out that it was kind of the opposite of that. So some of the puzzles that I thought were going to be a little bit more difficult and challenging, those actually kind of ended up being some of the easiest puzzles. And some of the ones that I thought were going to be the easiest ended up being the more difficult ones, because it was kind of tough to figure out exactly how some of those interactions of the easier ones worked. Once the player figured out kind of those interactions and what to look for, the puzzle was pretty easy to solve after that. So I assume that just with more experience of making and designing puzzles, I'm going to get a little bit better at that. Also, during GDC, I do plan to be going to one talk that talks specifically about making puzzles for games, and so I'm very much looking forward to that one. The next thing that went wrong during the development of this game was that it took me a while to start on the actual development of this game. And so what I mean by that is I kind of took a little bit too long, I think, to kind of design out the game and work on concept art. And so it wasn't until I was already, fairly deep into the month until I actually started making things in the game engine. And it wasn't completely terrible. I did finish the game within the month, but those last couple days of development were particularly rough. I really had to kind of like marathon through everything. And so it was definitely a pretty big rush at the end to get everything finished up. So I would have just liked to kind of started actual development a little bit earlier, just to kind of give me a little bit more time on the back end to focus on other things, which we'll talk about next. So the next thing that went wrong during the development of my game was marketing and PR. So I really didn't have any time for marketing or PR. I pretty much just finished my game on the very last day, got it put up on itch.io, and Literally the only marketing I did was I took a video of myself in my garage at like 2:30 in the morning just to let you all know that my game was available and you can go ahead and check it out. But other than that, I really didn't do any marketing and PR for my game. Marketing and PR is something that's obviously super critical to game development, because how are you going to get people to know what your game is and let them know why they should care about your game if they've never heard of it or they don't know about it? And I mean, some of the stuff can even be as simple as just making a better looking itch.io store page. Mine looks like it was thrown together at the very last minute because it was. I mean, it's pretty bland. There's nothing really on it. There's just like a basic little description of it. And don't think that's doing a whole lot of favors for selling my game. But so anyways, as I continue this one game a month challenge, I'm definitely going to be starting to focus a little bit more on marketing and PR to get the name of my game out there, let more people know that it exists and why they should want to play it. And of course, as I learn new tips and tricks on good PR and marketing strategies, I'll definitely let you all know about that, so you can take the lessons that I've learned and apply them to your game. So anyways, that's going to conclude my postmortem for Escape the DJ Booth. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them down in the comments section below. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and definitely stay tuned for next week, where I'm going to be doing a ton of GDC coverage, so I hope you're all excited for that as I am.